everyone. Welcome to After Sex Ed with Sabrina. This is my guest, my love, Rena Rodak. We are students together at the University of Alberta. We're both studying sexual health, pursuing a graduate certificate. I do this every episode where I talk a little bit about after sex ed and why I call it after sex ed. And it's called that because sexuality is on a spectrum. And I learned that in school. And I think everybody should know that, but I didn't know. I really kind of saw sex education as something you learned in adolescence. And then it just kind of stopped there. But there's so much more to learn. And that I really saw when I teach sex ed to kids now, and there were adults in the room or teachers in the room or teachers' assistants, I always found that the adults had a lot of questions. And then it just got me thinking, sexuality is on the spectrum and it runs your entire life, it's on a lifespan and it runs your entire life and grown-ups don't get to ask questions often, you just kind of like working with what you've got. So that's why I called it After Sex Ed. And I cannot stress to you and express to you how happy I am that Rena's here. Rena, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I would love to. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Sabrina. I am originally from Toronto. I live in Hamilton now. I am the co-founder, co-director of Now What Support Services in Ancaster. We are a full-service family wraparound clinic. And I use the word clinic very loosely. We support families of all ages and stages in all different ways with basically not when they have a family member who doesn't quite fit into the boxes of society. We tend to see mostly people with ADHD and autism and other neurodivergent kind of challenges. We support everyone in the family because we believe that when one person is struggling, everybody is struggling. And for the most part, the greatest success happens when everybody rallies and everybody contributes. And we have social workers and psychotherapists and occupational therapists and speech therapists. I do all of the adult ADHD work and I do all the school advocacy.
Yeah.
And the parent coaching. I work with parents how to help their kids and how to help themselves.
You're amazing. And you're very busy. Clearly, you've got, you do so many.
And I should say, in all fairness, I have 3 kids who are 15, 17, and 19.
Wow.
They are now. And they're awesome. They are awesome little humans. Awesome, very large humans. Eat a lot of food and use a lot of Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I want so many things. I want to ask you so many things, but I'm going to start here and I'm going to ask you what I ask everybody, which is, how did you learn about sex?
I learned about sex in really unfortunate ways up to this moment, actually. Nothing, not traumatic, but sort of in a lack of, right? I didn't learn about sex in middle school. I went to a religious school, and in middle school, all they did was teach us how to use a tampon. So I'm super good at it. I'm like the best tampon user. They didn't talk about sex at all because it was very sort of assumed that it was very simple. It was very technical and procedural and with purpose, right? Reproduction, that's it. Yeah. So what else do you need to know? Right. It was like Lego, insert tab A into B.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. And then as I grew up, it wasn't a thing in my house or in my life. Yeah. And it's only actually recently, as a post-reproductive grown-up, that I have really come to understand what it can be.
Right.
And, for a large part of my life, I thought that what you see in movies and what you see in porn is only there.
Yeah. Yeah. That just didn't happen in real life.
Correct. Yeah. I really had one of those sort of Oprah aha moments where I was like, people do that? Real people. That happens. And from that moment, I was like, well, I better learn about this. I really better kind of pursue this.
Yeah.
Because this could be a thing.
Did anything influence you? Were you like, okay, so you're saying a post-productive adult. So you've clearly figured things out because sexuality has a lifespan, of course, right?
Yep.
Was there anything that stood out? I'm only asking because movies have such a huge influence on me. And I had so many moments where I was when I was younger, where I was when I grow up, I'm going to do it like that. Like, I want to do it like that. And then I don't know, they like influenced me. And it wasn't just like, this is how like you have this, like, this is how I think I'm supposed to behave. This is how I think I'm supposed to like what I'm supposed to do. I don't even know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It was just, I wonder if you had any influences that guided you a certain way.
Yeah. I think that my life was so unlike what I saw on TV or in the movies that it never occurred to me to have that kind of fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? Like to even be like, hey, that could be something that I would try. It wasn't. It was like in Mission Impossible when you see the people like jumping out of helicopters and like, you know, parachuting into the jungle. It was like, well, of course, if I was ever in that position, of course I would maybe do that. But since I'm never going to be in that position, I'm not going to do that. And then I met somebody who actually was a swinger, like really in real life, like who went to sex club and who was a swinger and was thrilled, like the most confident, certain person, and an amazing professional and an amazing parent and a kind friend. And I was like, really, you can do all those things.
You can do all those things. Yeah, you can be both, huh?
Right? Yeah. And then I was like, and then I started to actually like in conversation, even in talking to friends where I was like, you know, I met this person who actually factually does this thing. Like hot wax, that's a real thing. And they were like, it is. Like, I know people who do that too. And I was like, no way.
This is a thing that people do. And nobody's telling me.
Nobody's telling me. And I had to like, they introduced me to this idea that there are real, like, I could not even believe that there were real things, like a real sex club. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
Or like this idea that there can be consensual, like ethical, non-monogamy. Yeah. Really. Or that there were like, that in fact, like BDSM is so sufficient, like so defined, and there's so much consent and so much trust.
Yes. Oh, like we could talk about this forever. How much I've learned in our classes about like BDSM for me. This is the thing. I don't want to digress. I don't want to go off topic because it's so easy to do that. But I will say BDSM for me in my mind meant pain. That's what it meant for me. And that like, how much more have I learned? It's not just that, very boundary setting. Like it's very respectful. There's a lot of dialogue and conversation involved.
Right. Let's loop it back to ADHD. So like harnessing your ADHD is all about having the right strategies. And to have the right strategies, you need to understand the expectations of the situation. Then match your skill, right? If I'm trying to accomplish X, Y, and Z, what are the skills that I need to do that specific thing? And when you consent, when you like dialogue and you boundary the BDSM, you're doing that. You're setting the expectation and you're setting the skill that is needed to meet that expectation. Right? And that's, again, that has to do with consent. What is consent? Where is the consent? Where isn't the consent? How often does it need to happen? So again, you're parametering and you're defining and you are matching skills to that expectation.
I want to put you in a bottle and I want to just like drink you up. Okay. Okay. So stop there for a second. So this is what I want to say. So the reason that like, I like you so much and that like how I've come to find you, I could just consider you like this gem that like appeared in my life because, so we're classmates, of course. And I followed your company on Instagram, Now What Support Services. Is that the entire handle at Now What Support Services?
Yeah. I think it's at Now What Supports.
Okay. But I'll put that up. But so I followed your company and you were putting up all these things about ADHD up. And I was like, okay, this is like, I feel like this is me. This is resonating with me. Like the frustration over like details and like, feeling really overwhelmed really like quickly. And then of course we're living in lockdown and I felt as though it was killing me. Like it was just, I couldn't take it anymore. And everybody around me was saying, yeah, like lockdown sucks and lockdown's tough, but like they seemed functional. And here I was like steam shooting out of my ears. Like, no, I literally can't do this anymore. Like, I can't sit in my house. I'm climbing the walls. I need to constantly be physical. Like, I'm running 2-3 times a day now. I ran so much, I injured myself, had to go into physiotherapy and bed rest because I was like, and then when my doctor said, Sabrina, you can't run anymore. You can't run for 6 to 8 weeks. I literally had to take a hiatus from work and was like, okay, and now I'm done. And then pop, you come into my life where I'm seeing you on Instagram and you're talking about ADHD and COVID. And like, I haven't even started talking about what I really want to talk about, which is ADHD and like sex behaviors. Because like all of these things are happening. I think that things happen for a reason. I'm studying this. COVID's happening. I'm going bananas, and like I'm in a relationship, and like I had so many friends that were quarantining or whatever, solo, single, and they were like envious, and they were like, "Oh man, how good is it to quarantine with your partner?" Like, what are you thinking? Sex around the clock? Is that what you're thinking? You know what I mean? And that like ADHD had impacted all of these different facets of my life, you know? Anyways, and that's where you kind of like came in. And I just so want to talk to you about like ADHD and like sexual behaviors and like, and everything I'm seeing is that there's like this broad spectrum and that ADHD people, like I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I like maybe we'll start with like how to spot the signs of it in yourself and like and then maybe like the sexual things that I'm seeing online anyways from my research is you have hyposexuality, which is very low drive, and then you have hypersexuality, and like it tends to be one or the other, and like and there are no variances or shades of gray, and like I feel like help me.
Okay. All right.
Is this
okay,
a podcast or is this just my therapy session?
All right. So lots of things there. So ADHD is what we call a quacking duck diagnosis. So it's sort of like, there's a checklist. And if you quack like a duck and look like a duck and waddle like a duck, we say, okay, you're a duck. I am always very much less concerned with a diagnosis than actually finding strategies and ways through the behaviors. Because I don't care if you call it Francesca. It doesn't really the moment before you have a diagnosis and the moment after, you don't all of a sudden engage with the world better, right? Like,
yeah.
And it's identifying, it's noticing and recognizing where your lagging skills are, where your struggles are, where you are not intuiting the way through.
Yeah.
Right? Is it emotional dysregulation? Is it organization? Is it prioritization? Is it timeline?
Yeah.
Right? All of those things. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about sex and ADHD, it's actually all the same things as why it is so hard when you have ADHD to triage through problems.
Okay.
Why video games, why pulling yourself out of a video game, or why you get that extreme high when you're online shopping.
Oh, girl. Okay. Because video games you've mentioned before, and I'm like, I'm like, here she goes.
Yeah. But for some people, the video games are a big deal because when you have ADHD, everything is either humongous or teeny weeny. Again, no gray area. Everything can either be managed right now or later, not like there's no in between. Again, it's often like it feels like your brain is in a blender. And what my oldest son, he often says that when he's full on ADHD, it feels like that really uncomfortable tingling sensation that happens when one of your limbs has fallen asleep and it's trying to wake up.
Wow.
Where it's like you want so badly to move forward, you want so badly to go.
Yeah.
But your foot is heavy and it's uncomfortable, but at the same time, it kind of tickles. And, I used to say that it was like I was stuck on one of those old-fashioned spinners
carousel
at the park.
things.
Like a carousel.
Okay. The spinners. Yeah.
And everybody would it would like be spinning and spinning and spinning, and you had to hold your focus on the tree so that you wouldn't throw up. Yeah. And that's kind of, to me, what my ADHD feels like, where everything is like happening all at the same time and there's no ordering of it. I can't see it. It doesn't make sense intuitively in time and in space. And I really have to break it apart.
So I want to stop right there and say you're okay saying that you have ADHD, correct?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because
I am, because it's a little bit of my superpower.
yeah.
It lets me be, and I would not be who I am without it.
Right.
For good, for bad, and for ugly. In
Yeah.
all my hardest moments,
Yeah.
all my hardest moments that I really struggled through, and maybe I made it through unscathed and maybe I didn't. It is what makes me who I am today. And it's what largely lets me help other people through theirs.
Yeah. 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 Completely. I watched it in real time. I was like, now everything has been taken from me. It was catastrophic. And I wonder if like ADHD people catastrophize things, because sometimes I think I do that.
We move through that. We say like size of the problem.
Okay.
What is the size of the problem here? And what is the problem?
Yeah.
Right? We do catastrophize because our brains, it's like, again, you're moving at full speed all the time.
Yeah.
And we don't assess accurately or intuitively the size of the problem. So something may not be a major problem, but we're feeling it huge and we want it resolved right now. And we
immediately
want everybody in our life to focus on it. Help me solve this problem right now. And our partners or our children or our bosses are like, this is not such a big problem.
Yeah.
And then we get stressed. And then again, because of our ADHD, we lose our ability to regulate our emotion. So now we have big emotion.
Yeah.
And we're responding to this distress. We're distressed about the distress.
Yeah.
And we caused a new problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, I'm like a habitual problem causer. Okay. I want to go back to sex though. I want to like talk about how it manifests itself in sexual behaviors, because I don't know that I can classify myself in the ways that I see online, like ADHDers behave like this, and maybe it's not supposed to be like that. But there are parts of it that I'm like, I think that might be something I do. Like I think needing, and tell me if I'm wrong, if this is a thing, like just like needing to satiate an immediate need. Like now. Like, and it doesn't necessarily need to be sex. It's just anything sex related, like anything. It's just like, no, it's on my mind and it's got to get done.
When I started to work with parents, so about 2.5 years ago, they would sit down on my couch and they would tell me about their kid. And within like 11 minutes, I was also in their bed. One of them has a porn addiction, or, we're trying to work through this and it's a big problem. And all you want to do is like have sex.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. I would go down to my business partner and I would say to her, there seems to be a reoccurring theme here.
Wow.
Like, there's something going on here. And I started to do research and I started to look into things and I started to see how, porn is immediate gratification. It is a harnessed bookend, starts here, ends here, full body experience that satiates an itch.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I would kind of start asking questions and ask about, okay, let's put the porn aside. What is the actual factual, like sexuality that's happening here?
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, I was getting like, well, like he is hardcore and there's no emotion. It is all flame and fury. Oh, okay. All right. A little bit like impulsive shopping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Oh my God, everything I see, I want to have it. And I'm going to buy it. I don't even have the money for it, but I'm going to buy it because boy, does it make me feel good.
Yeah.
Holy smoke. Or eating the whole can of Pringles. Holy smokes. Boy, does that make me feel good. It satiates that itch. And it's like, I can start. And then as soon as they're gone, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So again, your brain is in a blender and you're just going and going and going. And it just feels so good.
Yeah.
Or it can.
Yeah. Does it ever swing the opposite way though? Like, I think what shocked me about ADHD, the more that we talked about it and the more that I was researching it, was that there was a lot of mood regulation issues, and that for years I was like, am I like depressed or bipolar? What's my deal? Because I'm very swingy. And now this is like making a lot of sense to me. And like, I wonder if it can like run the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, I need to satiate an immediate need. But then when like I don't, when I'm not it's like I have completely shut everything down and I'm unapproachable.
Yep, absolutely. And a lot of that has to do with like a wanting to, how do I say it? Like define, to complete the set, right? Like you want
Okay.
to define, this is what this involves, right? It involves, again, you can like a beginning and an end. There's foreplay, there's the
Yeah.
action, and then there's like afterplay or like self-care, like all
Yeah.
those things. This is what
Yeah.
it involves.
Yeah.
But if I can't make that happen, if I cannot satisfy my itch entirely
Yeah.
and completely the way I perceive it to be,
Yeah.
I'm not engaging. The same with a project, the same with a relationship, the same with an outfit, the same with, like, if I can't do this the way I understand it ought to be done,
Yeah.
then I'm not doing it. Right? Black, white, no gray.
Oh my God. It's like it's even when you're like sex stuff, but then even like projects, like the way that you're saying that, it's like, yeah, everything needs to be a certain way. And then I look like a perfectionist, but I'm not. I promise you I'm not. Like,
Right.
it's just like, I can't see it another way. And then when it doesn't go that way, I go, forget it. Like,
Right.
to hell with it.
I hear a lot from parents. They're like, well, we wanted to go for ice cream and we said we're going for ice cream, but then we got there and it wasn't open yet. So we said we'd go to McDonald's Playland.
Okay.
We went to McDonald's Playland. It was super fun. And then at the end, the kid was like, so now are we going for ice cream?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you didn't satisfy the itch.
Yeah.
Right? You opened the doors to it. You said there was going to be ice cream and then they pivoted. They pivoted okay. But you didn't close the door.
Yeah.
You didn't loop through it.
Yeah.
And sex is no different. Shopping's no different. Controlling your eating is no different.
Yeah.
Right? How many times do you go to the fridge, open the fridge, and you're like, I really want the cake. Nope, shouldn't have the cake. I'm going to have a carrot stick. Okay, so you eat the carrot sticks, you eat the salad, you eat the whatever. And then you're still like, nope, I do not feel full. I do not feel satisfied. You keep going back to the fridge. When if you had opened the fridge and had one forkful of the cake, you'd have been able to move on.
Yeah. Damn, girl. So I'm going to go eat cake and I'm going to satiate all my needs immediately because
or just acknowledge, right?
Acknowledge them. Yeah.